Okay, so good evening and welcome to our special meeting this evening, which is made for us to interview our candidates for our open positions on the Community Education Council for District 25. My name is Joseph Di Benedetto. I am the acting president of the council. I welcome you candidates, especially Sana Tayeb, for being here. I want to introduce you to the other council members who are here present during the interview process, so you know who's who. Okay, so obviously my name is Joseph Di Benedetto. I'm also joined by Mr. Joseph Chow, Miss Wendy, which is Wing Yu, Shirley, which is Soon Young, and Michelle Frederick, and also Anne Marie Knabel. So we have 5 other members here this evening, and we also have our high school representative, Catherine Pappas, who's here joining us, as well as our FACE representatives and some members of the public. So I want to just start by letting you know that the Community Education Council is a group of what should be 11 members. 9 of us are elected, and 2 are appointed by the borough president. This council currently has 7 members, and we are looking to fill 2 vacancies, and we're also waiting our borough appointees. Usually the positions are voted on by the community, but once the council is elected and we have some vacancies, then it is the role of the council members to vote on the newly elected members. So it's not something that the public has. It is not necessary that the candidates come from different schools if they're elected onto the council once the council is elected. So if you are from either my school or someone else on the council, it's not going to be a problem to be voted on this council. Our purpose this evening is to interview you. We'll ask that, we'll have a couple of questions. We'll ask that you limit the questions to the responses to no more than 2 minutes per response or less. I have Anne Marie Knabel here who's going to be taking the time. And if we go anywhere close to the 2-minute mark, she'll notify us as we have 20 seconds left, okay? The other thing is we need to have our official vote at our calendar meeting, which is held this next December 1st. And that's when we will elect the candidates and hopefully have new members join our team. So I wanted to explain to you that the Community Education Council meets on usually the first Wednesday of each month. We have, by vote, decided that we were going to meet in person for our voice to have meaning and for our vote to count towards quorum. So we're asking that you be able to attend in person, and hopefully that won't be an issue. If you haven't attended any of our meetings, we represent the parents in the community of the 34 schools in our district. We are the voice of the parents. We are not, we're an elected body, we're independent of the DOE, and we are independent of any other organization. So we make our own bylaws and our own rules. We do not make law in terms of DOE policy. We sometimes issue what's called the resolutions that we give to the City of New York in hopes that they'll be able to act in according to the wishes of the parents. So I welcome you this evening. I'm going to start with the first question, and I'm going to start with you, Sana. So welcome, and what do you think are the top issues facing schools in New York City during these times?
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Can everyone hear me fine?
I can hear you, yes.
You can hear me, okay, good evening.
Can hear you, thumbs up for everybody that can hear, perfect.
Perfect, perfect. First of all, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. And Joseph and Carly, thank you for pronouncing my name right, because that usually gets butchered. So thank you for that. To answer your question, what is the most important thing? What is the most important issue you said that's currently, that the parents and the community is facing? I would say that everyone is impacted by the pandemic in a same way, but also in a different way. Being a parent of a child with an IEP and him starting his kindergarten, so the first year in a District 25 school, having to learn the process from the ground up as a parent, having to advocate for my child, getting him in the class, in an integrated class setting, all of these things have been a learning curve for me. So it's taught me empathy and patience, and it's also taught me about all the different community resources that are available. Like all the good work, like for instance, this committee is doing. So it's taught me to be more involved, to have an open mind, but it's also taught me about all the different issues that the parents especially are facing now. There seems to be a disconnect between the parents and the academic aspect or the academic side of it, like the teachers and the DOE. So I think bridging the gap is probably one of the challenges right now that everybody's facing.
Thank you. We're going to continue on with our questions, and I present to you Mr. Joseph Chow.
No, Joe, I'm supposed to go next.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I'm sorry. Wing
okay.
you. I'm sorry, Wendy.
It's okay. Hi, Sana. Welcome. My question to you is, what current or prior volunteer work or experience have you had, and what special skill will you bring to the council?
So thank you, Andy. That's a good question. Currently, I do marketing and brand management for a real estate company that's based in Queens. So I work with a diverse range of groups of people. That includes our clients, that includes the team, it includes other real estate professionals. And before going full time with this company, which is basically my husband's company, I'm overseeing the marketing and management of that. So about 5 years ago, when I became a parent full time, I used to have my own marketing company, and essentially I was working B2B. So I was serving different businesses and working with them remotely. So I was working with a diverse group of people, again, a lot of board members from different businesses, getting them to converge on one direction for their brand. So working with a diverse group of people, having everybody's opinions heard and getting everybody to see the common goal and how to move forward with that is something that I feel like I can contribute to this committee as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have, and I apologize, Joseph Chow. Next question.
Good evening, Sana. I'm sorry, Wendy. Thank you for coming on the interview. My question is, let's see, where are you? There we go. Are there any specific issues you would like to bring to the council?
Thank you, Joseph. The piano playing in the background before was lovely. Just want to point that out. In terms of specific issues, I think that would go back to my first point, which I said about being a parent of a special needs kid. There are a lot of resources available. I'm just starting to find out, just by engaging more, advocating more, learning more, interacting with different parents and people in the community. But what I'm seeing is that, again, there is a disconnect. Oftentimes the parents, especially caregivers, are not fully aware of the extent of resources that are available. And even when they are aware, it seems like given the challenges of parenting that are exacerbated by the pandemic, unfortunately, it just seems like so much work to invest your time, let's say after work, after other commitments, to invest your time going online on DOE websites or trying to find resources that can help you with parenting. So I feel like that's one of the biggest things. Is to bridge that gap and create that understanding or facilitate it so that it's easier on parents and it's also easier on people that are trying to facilitate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shirley.
Hi, Sana. How are you? So my question is, what research have you done to prepare yourself for this position?
Hi, Shirley. Good question. So just to give you a little bit of background, I first came across CEC and the amazing work that you guys do when I was first beginning to learn about the turning 5 process for my child. Because he has an IEP, so unlike a traditional, a child going to school, he has literally there's 2 different priorities that we have to focus on. So it's one, him getting into, the public school here. And then there is a parallel process that's specifically for children with IEPs. So that's the whole turning 5 process that we had to do. So basically that's how I learned about CSE. It was one of the resources that I came across. So going back to your question, I've done a lot of research on it. I've watched a lot of the YouTube videos of prior meetings that were put up by your committee to get myself acquainted with how are the meetings done, what are some of the issues that are talked about, what are some of the pressing issues and challenges that parents are raising, or different groups in the community are raising when it comes to education and academics.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Next, we go to Anne Marie.
Hi, Sana, welcome. I appreciate your talk about the IEPs, and it is a very important issue. My question for you is, what is your understanding of the time commitment required for this position? And would you be available to attend meetings outside of the CEC meetings?
Hi, Shirley, thank you. To answer your question, from what I understand, I believe the minimum is 1 hour a month, but obviously it can be more depending on the issues or priorities at hand. And basically I am available to take on that commitment, given the opportunity. Once it's on my schedule, it becomes a priority, and I'll make myself available for the meetings or for any work that needs to happen in order to move issues forward alongside everyone else. And in the rare occasion that I can't make it to a meeting, obviously I make it a point to reach out and let everybody know as soon as possible, so that everybody is on the same page and can still move things forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne Marie. And next we go to Michelle Fredericton.
Hello, Sana, how are you?
Michelle.
My question is, what do you think our school system can improve on with regards to special education? And how can the CEC support parent learning about issues affecting their children?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. If you don't mind, can you break it down into 2 and I'll answer both of them? So
Absolutely. The first question is, what do you think our school system can improve on with regards to special education?
Okay, so with regards to special education, again, I believe there are amazing resources. I think the state of New York is probably one of the best states in terms of putting out resources and funding and programs and facilitating support for parents when it comes to special education. I think the challenges are that they're not always communicated properly to the caregivers. So at the receiving end, I think there is, some gaps that need to be filled. For instance, I was at the last meeting that you had just as an observer, and all the information that was shared about special programs, the special recovery program, for instance, it's fantastic. But then there's oftentimes a lot of that happens, or the way that it's put out is that, oh, okay, you go to this website, for instance, the DOE website, and you go here and you'll find this beautifully done pamphlet, or you go here and you'll find this beautifully done presentation, and you can learn about programs and services and all that. But as a parent who's had to work full time, right, who's working full time or has other commitments all day long, and then after work you're catering for your child, and then you're expected to kind of like educate yourself on what's available out there, I think it just makes it so much more psychologically challenging, if you understand what I mean. So working in a way that makes it easier for a parent, that doesn't make it seem like homework after everything else. I think that would be a really important thing to tackle.
Okay. My next question is, how can the CEC support parent learning about issues affecting their children?
So I think one way the CEC can do that is by having like this forum, but just making it more conversational. So based on my observation, a lot of the great information that's shared is shared in more of an instructional manner. So it's like you're speaking at someone. Whereas if it were more engaging and a way was formulated to make it more that community was involved, that parents would actually be willing to participate more, so that it's more conversational and it becomes like you're speaking to somebody, you're actually having a conversation, not just putting out information out there and then leaving it up to the parents to do what they want with it. I think that would make a real difference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. So Sana, we also have a student representative who sits on our council. This is Catherine Pappas. So it's always important, we feel, that to get the student perspective on how we operate and some of the issues that go on in our district. So it's a pleasure that we have Catherine Pappas. And I don't want to end your interview without giving Catherine the opportunity maybe to ask you a question if she had something that she wanted to ask you. Am I putting you on the spot, Catherine?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Catherine. I'm a senior at World Journalism Preparatory School. My question is, what motivates you about community service? What are your passions and why does that motivate you?
Oh, that's a good question, Catherine. So my passion would be advocacy, learning and being involved. And I think it really comes from when I was, not even a teenager, I'm originally from Pakistan. I moved to Toronto, Canada at a very young age. And obviously, so there was a huge cultural shock. There was a lot of challenges that I had to overcome, being in a very new environment. But one thing that helped me and my siblings a great deal was the amount of involvement that my parents both put in. So they were always at every PTA. They were always very engaged with the teachers. They were asking questions. They were, seeking help in the community, trying to basically facilitate our learning and our assimilating into the culture. And that made a huge difference. And that's the same kind of example and passion that I want to bring to my child as I, do my best with his upbringing, is that how can I facilitate his learning and his development? And, I want the same for pretty much all the children, right? But especially given what I'm going through, the experiences, the unique experiences and opportunities that I have to learn through my child's development, that's really my passion to facilitate it as much as possible, to be involved and to really teach him by example that, hey, you can do anything that you set your mind to. There's no such thing as a disability. Everything is an ability. Everything is a strength if you transform it that way, if you set it up that way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Sana. So basically, there were a lot of good questions and great answers, so we appreciate that. I just wanted you to understand that we will be voting at our next calendar meeting, which I already told you. The other thing I wanted to ask you, or maybe if you have anything that you'd like to add on to the questions that were asked, but oftentimes when we're elected onto the Community Education Council, we're asked to think in the bigger picture about, the families that we represent. And sometimes I, myself, and some other members on the CEC have to put our own personal agenda on the side because we don't represent just our family, our children, we represent the community as a whole. So I'm not sure if you have any comments on that or if that's would be a problem with you, but in closing, I just wanted to know if you have anything else that you'd want us to know before we end this interview.
That's a really good point, Joseph. I would say that I think that's an essential skill, not just in CEC, but in life. Like you said, you have to be willing to You know, I actually learned that in a leadership class, is that leadership is essentially serving, you know, and it goes back to this point where you have to be willing to be inclusive. If you want your point and your perspectives heard, and if you want to be part of the solution, you have to be willing and open to other ideas and perspectives and other ways of looking at things. And it has to be more community oriented, because like you said, it's not just about one person or one family or one thing, but by being focused on that one primary thing, whatever your passion is that's driving you forward, you know, the hope is that you can create a lasting change that affects many that are going through the same thing. So I agree with that. That's how I see it. I'm a very open-minded person, and I don't see it being a challenge.
Wonderful. So I think we are, unless any of the council members have any additional questions or comments, I think we are just about through with your interview. And we congratulate you once again for applying. Does anyone else here on the council have any further questions or comments they would like to express?
I do have one add on to the question that I asked earlier.
Go ahead,
you
Amber.
mentioned that it was 1 hour a month commitment. And I can tell you it's definitely more than that. Definitely more than that. So I just want to make sure that you understand the full picture is more like 2 to 3 hours when we meet, because we have the public meeting and then we have our business meeting following. So it's really a rare occasion if something's done in an hour. So like tonight would be a rare occasion.
I hear you, Anne. You know, it's just that's what my understanding was. So I was just going with that. But like I said, absolutely. I mean, if it is more than that, then it's understandable. And if that's what it takes to bring about a change, then that's what it is. And being a creative mindset, I usually overdo with all my work. You know, I always tell clients, oh, it's going to be 1 hour, 2 hours, but it usually ends up being a lot more of my time. So I am entirely okay with that. You know, as long as it's communicated properly, as long as obviously there is notice involved, I don't see that being a challenge at all.
Great. I know we're all obviously all parents, and we all have our we have to find our caretakers for our little people while we're away at our meetings and stuff. So it's important to definitely be aware from the get-go that it's definitely more than an hour. And sometimes
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Point well made, Anne-Marie. But so yeah, Sana, so we always meet typically the first Wednesday of every month. Our meetings do go about 2 to 3 hours. We start at 6:30. And I've yet to see a meeting where we're done by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Usually it goes to 9:30 or so. And then we do have certain situations where we have special meetings like this evening. And of course, we are always sensitive to everyone's time and availability. So we try to schedule it around everyone's free time. But definitely it's more than 1 hour. But it could be an enjoyable experience and something with rewards. So we thank you for applying, and we look forward to seeing you. We would ask that you come to our next meeting where we will have our election, and then we'll know on the decision that day. Okay. In person. So we are meeting in person, and we are meeting, where the district office is on Linden Place?
Yes.
So we're scheduled to start at 6:30 p.m. that evening. And if you have any problem that you cannot make it for whatever reason, I would ask that you just let Carly know.
Okay. Joseph, did you say when the next meeting is?
Yes, it's Wednesday, the Wednesday after Thanksgiving, December 1st.
December 1st, got it. Okay.
So we already had, during our first meeting, we set aside the meeting times. And generally, if it was contradictory to some type of school event or something, we made it an alternate week, but generally we meet on the first Wednesday of every month. And Carly can give you the list of our meeting dates for the rest of the
Yeah, I'll send it to you, Sana.
Thank you. That'd be great.
Once again, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.